What is up, everybody? Thursday afternoon. That means you got to be tuning in for Line Breakers FC, brought to you by thebreakdownsports.com. You can follow us as we are live on Facebook, YouTube, and Twitter. Some variation of the Breakdown Sports. So BRK DWN underscore sports on Twitter. That's probably the best outlet. Joey repping the gear. I'm wrapping the fresh gear of since MLS is back. The Union are moving on and the CCL. It was a good time. You don't have suicidal Rex on here for you today. We are happy. Breakdown Sports is producing all your content. You're coming here for footy right now, but if you're a lover of everything like Joey B and I, definitely be checking out the site because we got you covered on all facets. Joey B, we got some gloomy days here. How about you, man, and you in the UVA territory?
Pretty nice. We had some rain the last couple of days, but just looking forward to the weekend. A really interesting kind of conglomerate. I don't know if that's the right word of soccer. MLS is back. We got the FA Cup. We still got some EPL, and then getting into some good Serie A, and we won't mention it, but the La Liga's title is getting tight. So just a good soccer weekend. Baseball's getting back in action. So I don't know. Just will be a good sports weekend. Maybe not the best, but just I guess good for soccer. Everything else is kind of dead and slow.
Maybe that's on us for neglecting La Liga as much as we are, because that should probably be one of the highlights or the forefronts of Line Breakers FC, because that's truly other than Ligue 1, whatever you want to call it. I mean, I'm not watching that one that much other than Lille, but yeah, we should be talking about this because we were thinking there was going to be a title race in the Premier League. We were thinking there was going to be one in Serie A, but La Liga is probably going to produce one of the best finishes in, I don't want to say La Liga history just because that's negligent of myself, but of the past 10 years where you actually have three teams involved to the finish, it's going to be a good one.
Yeah, I mean, we even got four teams. I know Sevilla is 6 points back of Atletico up there. So all four of those teams do, I would say, kind of have a shot. Obviously, Atletico, Sevilla would be a long shot of those three, but man, Barcelona, Real, Atletico, I think all those four teams, I think, I'm trying to remember. I think Atletico plays Barcelona still, and then Sevilla play Real Madrid. I know, so there's some good games or good matches for that end of the table, but we'll have to maybe talk about it as things develop there in that title race. Probably, I think would best guess will come down to the last day, if not maybe the last two games. So
yeah, get La Liga off being sports or whatever you want to call it, and I'll be watching it a lot more frequently. Yeah. As long as it stays on being, won't be watching it. But let's get into it. We're going to go Premier League quickly, FA Cup quickly, then we'll dive into Serie A, and then a nice little special surprise before we get into our best bets. But when you're looking at the Premier League slate for this weekend, I can say you can probably find some nice value if you do enough digging, because you got a lot, as you called it, a conglomerate. You just got action across the board here, and not many of your top Premier League squads are suiting up this weekend because they're most likely in the FA Cup. But we'll kick it off with the game tomorrow, or the match tomorrow. Probably the top one on the slate other than the Wolves match, clearly. You got Tottenham as plus 118 road favorites. You got Everton at plus 241. You got the over under at a juiced under 2.5. I just think this line is telling you everything you need to know here. The Everton money line and the draw on my book is the same exact price. They're probably within a 10 cents on most other ones there. So that's kind of where it's telling you what to say. When the under's that juiced at the 2.5 and the draw and the road teams at the same thing, you either got to be playing Everton at the plus 0.25 goal line or playing the draw here, because Tottenham has been winning more frequently than Everton has, but this just seems like, I don't know. I think this is a 0-0 draw. It just seems like a gross. Everyone's looking forward to it. They're putting it on Friday, unless it's on the stupid Bird app where we can't watch it. But I don't know. I just think we see a draw here. How about you?
Yeah, I couldn't have said it better. I'll one-up you. I think we may see a 1-1 draw. Yeah, I think Everton draw double chances minus 155. So I think to lay a decent number, you, like Rex said, you got to maybe take the plus points 2.5. Everton, I mean, maybe look to back Everton live. Tottenham always gets like an early goal, and then they give up a goal in the 80th minute and kind of ends in a 1-1 draw. Or like it with Man U, they give up the lead. So I think looking to take Everton live could be a good option there as well. But yeah, juiced under. It's hard to say anything total wise. You may take maybe a live under 3 if Tottenham, like I said, get an early goal. But other than that, I just think like you said, Everton are the right play, and the total is a hard one to look at.
Yeah, you might have to stomach this one a little bit because Everton might be the right side here, but DLC and Allen still look like they'll be out. So you just got to have a little bit of cojones here because you'll be going against probably Son and Kane starting for Tottenham here. So that's kind of just where I'm surprised they gave this the Friday game more than anything else, just because especially with the slate it has this weekend, maybe it doesn't want to take eyes away from the FA Cup. But other than that, there's no reason. I know you can't predict the scheduling and you can't move the matches, but it just seems strange that Tottenham and Everton would be facing off on a Friday afternoon.
Yeah, and I think another thing, I think like Prince Philip's funeral, Wolves game got moved to later in the afternoon because of that, so it didn't overlap. So there's some things in England that take precedent over sports, unlike the U.S., where sports are king over pretty much anything. So just something else to I don't know, maybe why the schedule is the way that it is.
Yes, sir. So let's get into the FA Cup. We can potentially deep dive into both of the matches, but the other one's kind of a stinker. So we're going to spend most of our time on Chelsea versus City here, because you got City, man, minus 121 here. They don't have neither team has Champions League coming up midweek, so maybe look ahead to see who they're playing. Some teams have a bye because I think this is like the makeup midweek as well. You got the total at under 2.5 at a minus 125. You got a City game at over 2. You can find that even on some books here. So boy, oh boy, are all the Joey B, are all the touts going to be over the City at minus 121 and the over 2.5 here, or is that just too good to be true?
I think probably too good to be true. I think it's a Tommy Tuchel effect. This game may be slow, boring, tight. I just see City maybe getting a 1-0 or 2-0 win. I know both teams are relatively deep, so like rotation from the Champions League may not be a huge deal, but definitely will be a great game to watch. I hope, even if it's not a high-scoring game, should be extremely competitive. In the FA Cup, always filled with drama, maybe some extra intensity, some hard fouls here and there. So I'll be rooting for I don't know. I don't know if I want City to win or not, but I'll definitely hopefully root for Pulisic to get some minutes and get some action, maybe get a goal here or there. But that's kind of what I'll be watching.
I don't want to call you crazy, man, if you're locking in now, because if you're locking in today for this Saturday match, you have either some info or you have some gut where you think the line's going to move in your favor. So all props and credit to you that takes it. But until I think will be wagering on this one. I just need to see lineups before I lock anything in on this, because with the FA Cup, sure, it is the semis. You can have a little bit more certainty here, but still at the same time, I need to see who's the 11 on each side. Even though both teams has the depth, there's always some key players on the squad that you're going to be checking in to see, especially with Chelsea's attack. I mean, they just have 5 or 6 different options up there, so I'm going to be curious who they're starting there. But this just seems like an extra time game to me. So that's kind of where, if I'm going to get Chelsea, I know it's at Wembley, so they're not home, but you can still get them at the half goal at minus 105, and the City is the juice because it's basically your money line price there. If I have to play a side in it, the side that I'm going to be looking for to lock in on Saturday is going to be the Chelsea side in some sort of way. Maybe it's a little bit of fandom here. It's probably not going to be a full unit bet unless I really love the lineups, but Chelsea would be the side I'm looking for in this one, just because, sure, they still have the chance at the trophy in the Champions League, but I think if they can get past City here and they're going up against Southampton or Leicester, the ball's in their court to screw that one up, especially with the way they've been flowing and playing right now. I think Chelsea will honestly go balls to the wall this one. They're going to go all out because silverware is silverware, and Tuchel comes in, takes over, gets a trophy in his first season. That FA Cup does mean a lot. I just think I think it's the right side in this one, even though, because the books are telling you something when they're leaving City out there at the -120.
Yeah, I agree. I think if you do want to take City, or if you're waiting on lineups, I think the lineup to wait on more is the Chelsea lineup, because City probably will play a majority of their you kind of know what you're going to get on defense with Diaz and I don't know if it'll be Stones or Laporte. I think one of them may be hurt. But I think De Bruyne will play. Sterling probably will play. Mahrez, but even I think Torres will probably. They just have unlimited guys that, like, Chelsea, I think, has a bigger impact on who their lineup is. City can kind of throw out anybody as long as De Bruyne is in there. I don't think the line will move too much. Maybe even if they include him and Phil Foden, the line would probably move towards Man City. It maybe get to like a -145 or something like that.
Your boy Foden's been clicking.
Yeah, he's been
Are
good.
you a stan, or did you just want to? I don't know. That's because that's probably the one thing we've never uncovered is you do have a Foden jersey. When I get a jersey now, it's either blank or I really like the player. So give us the insights real quick. As Daryl would say on the Kevin Daryl show coming up, pull the curtains back. Let's see why you got the Foden jersey.
Man City, I've always liked Pep. I know there's a lot of haters of Pep out there. I just like his play style. I like his I don't know. And it was honestly maybe the second jersey I got. I just also love the away jerseys with City last year. But I also just wanted to, I just think the young I don't know, local player who's been brought up through the City ranks. He's not like some guy they spent hundreds of millions of dollars on to bring in. I just think it's a cool story. I always like the young players, and just I don't know. He's always been undervalued, I think, in my opinion. I know Pep didn't play him too much last year. You're showing what he can do this year. But I think it's a good. Always look for to get the local lads in their jerseys on their team. So I think that's one of the kind of underrated parts of the Premier League, especially being in America too. You don't really get to fully appreciate that. So kind of looking for those players and things and stories to look at. Just kind of very random, but I just always look for the young wonder kids and good stories, I guess.
You nailed it all in what to get in a jersey. If you like the prints, if you like the colors, number one, and always get the young gun. Number two, unless you get like a Lukaku or a Ibra coming in, then that one's kind of just you got a cop. All right. So, yes, I'll be looking. That's a long way to say I'll be looking in to get to Chelsea here, even though we spent a little time on City right there. So let's get into it's tough. My two loves are back not back, but Serie A. We got two awesome games this weekend. We'll kick it off with Inter versus Napoli, and it's feeling good. It's feeling too good, which is making me really very scared, even though there's not many matches left in the season to mess this one up. But Inter, you got them at +130 as road semi-favorites. You got Napoli at +206. You got the over at a juice 2.5. And no, this is just not me rooting. Like, say, if the club pulls out a bad result, you're still happy because you won some money. This Napoli team they're in a nice little groove right now. They're real fighting to get that Champions League spot because AC Milan is looking real vulnerable right now. They're looking like they might crash down the standings, and Napoli knows that they're just right there to get that UCL spot. So I'm not getting the half goal at a price that I would like. You're going to have to back the +0.25 here. It'd be a lot easier to block in this +205 money line on Napoli if I wasn't a fan of Inter, but it just seems like Napoli is definitely the one right here where Inter's won 9 straight, I think, at this point in league competition, if not 10 plus. So that's just kind of where the bus has got to stop soon. By no means are they going to put in cruise control, but they got 2 significant matches left. This is one of them. That's just kind of where I think this one does end up in a draw. But if they do pull out 3 points, it'll be great for me personally and happily. But I think Napoli's definitely the side you want in this one.
Yeah, I mean, I think I almost put bet in on my card or bet for the weekend on this game. Um, I wanted both teams to score. It's like minus 150, minus 148, or it was kind of around that, maybe minus 145. It was minus 130. I'd play it, but not much juice on that. Maybe wait 10 minutes to get it live. But yeah, I think draw could be a good angle. I could see this being 1-1 late, and then just a matter of which team, if a team gets a winner. I don't know if Napoli doesn't necessarily need all 3 points here. They could be kind of satisfied with a draw, especially with Atalanta playing Juve. So both teams could be kind of satisfied with a draw here. The only thing is I mentioned this in the chat that Inter Milan's turned into a Real Madrid type side of just grinding out 1-0, 2-0, 2-1 wins. They're not blowing teams away. They're just going in, getting a lead, and kind of maintaining it. So they're about in obviously as good as form in anybody in Europe. But at some point, 9 games in a row, 9 games in a row, it's got to come to an end at some point. Maybe with a draw, hopefully not an L. But you also got to hope maybe Milan or Juve and Atalanta kind of slip up as well, just to ease some of those tensions as we get to the final 6 or 7 games.
Yeah, it's 11 wins in a row in Serie A. It's 9 straight because they drew and lost to Juventus and Coppa Italia. And boy, who ever thought from last year's Inter where an over was basically the lock of every weekend just because how questionable the defense was? Yeah, always a juice 3. When you're getting a 2.5 here, I just think they're not going to do anything to hurt themselves for the rest of the season. Just see the results out, and the 1-0 win is the same exact thing as a 4-3 thriller at the end of the day in the standings. Not for the gamblers, but for the club perspective.
Yeah, I think just a fun bet, maybe take a Napoli double chance and both teams to score. It's plus 143. Maybe probably find a better price somewhere if you can get a same game parlay. But yeah, I think those are the 2 right sides if you can get decent prices on them live at some point.
Yep. And then this game, this one's big because for the Breakdown Sports, I wrote my Serie A predictions. So essentially, if everyone just moves up 1 spot and Milan falls from 2 to 5, I nailed the top 7 in order. Don't want to humble brag right there. So this match does weigh a decent amount into it with Juventus and Atalanta, who Atalanta's trying to be locked in, and Juventus is definitely still trying to be locked into the UCL spot because it's crazy to say that Juventus is fighting for it. And they're going to be a road dog here. Sure, it's very slight. They're at plus 175. You got Atalanta at plus 145. You have an over 3, minus 110, minus 115 on both sides. It is what it is. And then Atalanta's juiced on the pick. This is the match. If you only have one to watch all weekend, I think this is the one you're definitely tuning into because with the over 3, I just think that's just – if it was juiced a little bit more, it would be smelling fireworks, but I kind of like this price where it's currently at, where I just think this is going to be your team that goes up 2-0 early, and then you get the other team comes back, bags 3, and gets a 3-2 finish here. I want no side in this one. Maybe bet it live because who knows what happens in this one, but this is just going to be – has all the potential for offensive fireworks. Defenses are the most shaky part of the sides. Atalanta, I just hope they just go the ball to the wall on their Gasparini approach. Sometimes he does it and just says, just go out and win it with your offense. Screw the defense. We'll concede 2. Our offense is good enough for the top. No top guys look to be out because Weston McKennie isn't throwing any mansion parties. So we look to be good here. Just buckle in. 9 a.m. Saturday morning. Get up bright and early or that's really not that early. Get up early. We'll be watching that one.
Is that Saturday or Sunday morning?
That's the 18th. So that is Sunday morning.
Sunday, yeah. I agree. I think Juventus is the right side here. Just maybe with the draw no bet. I don't know if money line plus 175. I think I'd rather take the draw no bet because I think good chance we could see it as a draw maybe. But yeah, I think Rex. I think the thing we agree with on this is the goals. This will probably be on everyone's. Everyone will be taking the over. but for good reason. It could be the one that comes in. Probably will come in. I would expect a push at 3 at minimum. But both teams to score over 2.5 is like minus 145 ish. So I think a good angle there. I don't think either of these teams keep a clean sheet. Yeah, I just think, and then if you want some value, I think 3.5, maybe plus 140 ish, maybe 145. You could find it somewhere, but I think that's just for a good plus money over. If you really expecting some fireworks, that's a good number to take. Yeah, I just think goals and Juventus maybe, possibly. But yeah, I think those the way I'd go there.
Yeah, so neither of us are live cappers. It's just too much to try to do on Twitter. Prices move, time, locking in the bet, tweeting it. It's at least a minute out. But that's kind of where this is your one that I think if you really want to have some fun, you live bet this one because just cross your fingers and pray that you get 10, 15 minutes without a goal here. See how it's playing up. Sure, they might be filling each other out, but I honestly, if Juventus decides to park the bus and just try to pull out a draw on this one, that's really going to say a lot for the club because here you never see Juventus usually as road dogs. It's very rare that we've seen that, especially in league play here. So that's kind of where if Pirlo's taking them where they want to be, Juventus needs all three because a draw isn't a good point when you're trying to defend your title for however many years you want in a row.
Yeah, I think they're within a point of second place. So even obviously if they don't get the title, a second place obviously isn't good by any stretch of the imagination by their standards, but it is obviously better than third. I won't go into it. But
you can't drop 2. If you just won 9, 10, 11 plus years in a row and you're going to drop to – they were fighting for a Champions League spot not too long ago. So that's kind of where they need second more than anything else. You don't get any silverware behind it, but mentality, confidence in the club, it's got to be there because I don't think we'll ever get a Lampard situation like we did for Pirlo here because I just think they're going to spend the time. He's a lot bigger for the club than Lampard was. Not trying to shade Lampard whatsoever, but Pirlo is probably one of the top 3, if not number 1 Italian players of all time. So they're going to give him his due diligence there in his time.
For sure. For sure.
All right. Is it time to get fun?
Let's get wild.
I don't want to call it the best league, but it's up there for me just because we spend how much time watching footy across the pond. It's not local. Sure, the MLS is not the quality that you want. Nothing you're dying for, but if you're just a soccer person and especially if you have a team in your city or a close enough driving distance, just getting into the MLS is just more than fun than anything because I still want to say it's a small community, but it's a lot of fun because it's local soccer. It's your time. So let's get into the MLS, Joey B, because I know you're hyped for it. Have you declared yourself as a Nashville supporter or is your allegiance still to be determined?
I maybe need to do some research if I can name a player. I meant to do that at the last second before we came on here, but I'll quiz
Walker
myself.
Zimmerman, man.
Yeah, I was going to say he's their center back, and is with Dax McCarty, is he still going to be relevant? I know he's getting up there in age, but I mean, with a name like Dax, you gotta like him to dominate your midfield. But yeah, I think is a I don't know casual fan trying to be maybe a little more than casual. What games? 1 or 2 games should I watch going into this weekend opening slate?
So the casual fan, what do you want to watch? You have to go the David Beckham Derby. You got Inter Miami versus LA Galaxy. That is a 3:00 start on Sunday. So if you're having a lazy Sunday, maybe take a nap right before it because the Masters nap was last weekend. Figure out a good one for this weekend. But you got the Beckham Derby where the Galaxy, they brought in Toronto FC's coach because I just think Toronto's FC, his contract was up, and I think all the Canadian teams are still playing in U.S. clubs, like Vancouver's playing in Real Salt Lake. Toronto's going to be playing in Orlando, and I think Montreal's going to be playing between Hartford and the Red Bull Stadium. So I think Vanny just want to be like, fuck this. I got Chicharito. I got people that I know are going to spend money. I've been there with Toronto. I won the championship. I went to 3 straight at one point. Let's just get out. But yeah, the Beckham Derby, because you got what's the English dude's name for Inter Miami? I'm blanking on his coach. It's the tall fucking ass dude. Oh, I can't believe I'm blanking on his name. Phil Neville. I can't believe I blanked on his name. It's going to be his first coaching appearances for him. Beckham brought him in. So that's kind of where you got Vanny versus Neville. You got Pizarro, who is a great player for them. And for Inter Miami, you got Chicharito on the other side. So I have a bet on this game, so I don't want to get into it a little bit too much. But this is definitely the one that you should be tuning in for. Number 2, I'm wearing the jersey, but if you want to watch the Crew versus the Union, that's 1 versus 2 in the East. Both of them did have CCL action. Both of them are Columbus plays tonight, but they're most likely advancing. So you got 5 of the 8 teams in the CCL. If you're looking for some Saturday action, it's a little bit more spread out where there isn't anything too great, but never turn off an LAFC game, especially if they're playing the new club. It seems like they always open up with the new club because they opened up with Inter Miami last season. So I guess that would be the second one because you get to see McConaughey's club that just rocks pure Sassuolo jerseys.
Yeah, the green and black is a great combo.
All right, so let's get into. We got 2 quick MLS segments because since AJ's not here to be hating on us, rolling our eyes the whole time. I mean, he fucking lives in LA. He could have been a LAFC Galaxy fan. He has 2 of the best clubs to support. I mean, picks United over them. Shows a lot. Golden Boot, other than Vela, because we just got to think MVP, Golden Boot, most likely going to Vela. It's kind of more of who do I think can get the Golden Boot or your 3 other players to watch. So this one alludes into my bet a little bit, but Chicharito, he's never had 2 bad seasons back to back. Every season he's had a campaign under 10 goals. He responded with double-digit goals. First year in the MLS, I can't really say you have an adjustment period to the MLS, but it seemed like he had an adjustment period. But it's just more of the Galaxy have a competent head coach. They brought in more players that will support the current style that they're going to. The Galaxy will always just have one top guy on the club. It's a great way to market the MLS into that city. So that's where Chicharito, he's your extremely, I guess, long shot. It's crazy to say that in MLS that he would be a long shot to do it, but I think he's going to not break out this season, but really put all these people that were trolling on him, making fun of him last season on look for this year. All right, so you got 2 other names to look at forward to. I guess is you could go with Zelarayan on Columbus. He won't have international duty. So another thing with MLS you have to take, there's going to be a month that the season's complete shit because all of your top players are going to be out most likely because MLS doesn't follow international window rules. So that could be a good segue of looking into who we're going to look to win the MLS Cup. But Zelarayan, he won't have it because I don't think he's going to qualify for the Argentina side. If he does, good for him. So he's one guy to look for, and so is Reynoso on Minnesota. He was kind of your breakout guy last year. And then if you want the longest of the long shots, go to Brenner on Cincinnati. Trying to put your money behind Cincinnati is just a bad idea. But if you want to think they finally put it together in their 3rd season, he's the darkest of the dark horses you could potentially look for.
Yeah, I think good insight onto some of the top players, maybe underrated players. I think on Bovada, some of the top goal scorer guys you gave out. I know Chicharito's at plus 1,800, but some of the other guys you gave out, I don't even know if they're on the list. So,
who's number 2 on your list?
Diego Rossi.
So Carlos's teammates. Who's 3 then?
Raul Rudiez.
Yeah, I guess you can always back the Sounders. I mean, he's usually bags 1 every time he plays a home game. So that means he's probably going to get close to 12 goals. They play 17 home games, I believe, this season, or it's 16. But yeah, he'll at least always get your double-digit goals. So Ruidiaz is never a bad person to back. I don't know. I just kind of like Brenner is your crazy one if you just want to get wild, but he might take a little bit to get accustomed to.
And then I know Martinez coming back from a torn ACL is the next guy up. Do you think he'll be kind of hit the ground running back from a torn ACL? I think
so. He's been looking decently solid in their CCL games against Alajuelense, and once again, I think it was the same thing with the Galaxy. I don't know what both of the clubs did last year. They just brought in incompetent coaches for the club, so that's why I just think you have ATL sitting at like plus 250 dogs this weekend going into Orlando. That might be a lot of Orlando hype from last season because before that, there are no one you wanted to back, especially that's like the biggest rivalry or derby down in the South is those two. It's a lot of fun. So that's kind of just where, yes, I think Josef is going to be back. It's his first ACL tear. So I never have concerns with the player after it's your first one. So I just think, I'm sure it might take him a few matches to get back into it. But during CCL, he didn't look like his old self yet, but he didn't look like a shell of himself. So he looks to be in solid place. So yeah, I guess that was a big disrespect for me for not having Josef in that category there.
Yeah. One last guy, the guy next on the list is your guy in the Philadelphia Union. You think he's got any chance? Kasper Przybicki.
One, I have a selfie with Kasper. He was shirtless after the match. Don't know why he decided to take off his shirt and take a selfie with me, but I do have that tape of me and Kasper. It's sure Blake go. You fucked it up so bad that I had to give myself like 3 seconds to get the Polish phonetics out there. Kasper, no. I can't believe they have him all the way up there. I mean, the dude, if you watched the match last night, he missed 3 chances. He should have finished with his foot and then rocketed home a header. That's the way it is in footy. Sometimes you miss your easy ones, finish a tough one. But sure, can he get double-digit goals? Yes, but I don't think there's any value. I don't think he finishes top 5. But once again, he won't have any international duty. But I just think it's Vela or nothing if you're putting your money behind it because him in Mexico is dead at this point. So he'll be there the whole season for LAFC. All right, so real quick, sorry for this long-ass MLS talk. Did not think we were going to go this long, but, since it's back, I have to give you out. I'll give you 2 teams in the West that I think will finish 1-2, 2 teams in the East that will finish 1-2, then I'll give you my finals. So, chalk, LAFC, they won't have any, if not many guys missing this season for the international window, which I just think is huge. And yeah, I'm riding this Chicharito train. It could burn me hard putting a lot of stock into the Galaxy after what I saw from them last season, but I think we see El Tráfico as the Western Conference semis or the Western Conference finals to get there. Your other team to look for could be the Timbers or the Sounders, but I just think both of the LA sides have too much talent. On the East, sadly, I do not think the Union will finish in the top 3, and that's because we'll be playing at least a month without Corey Burke, and I'm more than nervous as shit for the regression year he's in for because every year it's the same thing as Chicharito. Every year he's had a good season. He's followed up with the bad. He's had 2 back-to-back stellar seasons. Maybe he's finally found his way, but he's over his 30s now, so it seems like a long time for him to find his way there. So these might be a little bit more – I mean, the Crew is the easy one, but I'm just going to say screw the Crew, even though they don't have many guys going out there. Back-to-backs, we've seen it recently, but predominantly, sure, it happens a little bit, but I'm going to go with the Revolution. They made it deep last year with Bruce Arenas. Just think they have it this year potentially. And the second one, that's where my tough one is. I want to go with the Union. I want to go with the Crew, but let's get a little wild. Joey B, I really want to say Nashville here just because they might allow 33 goals. I'm going to put the over-under at 33. That's just me. And I would back their under because they think they have 37 matches. Because there's now 31 teams in the league. Yeah, it is what it is. It's MLS. But yeah, let's go Nashville. We'll go New England, Nashville. Everyone will hate it. But you got El Tráfico on the other side. So we'll go New England, and then we'll go LAFC, and LAFC will finally get their title. I really want to go Galaxy here and just say Chicharito just has a Zlatan season, but we'll go Super Chalk. Never works in MLS, so probably fade that.
Yeah, I think good. I'll be rooting on Nashville. I know LA Galaxy is a pretty good long shot. So if you believe in them, anyone else out there having your belief in them, they got some good value. Maybe even to at least win the West. So some good
it's
MLS
tough.
talk.
Yeah, that's where I just think it's going to be either the two LA teams. So just play the Galaxy, just hoping, because the LAFC price is a little outrageous.
Yeah.
Because I think
For
you need
sure.
plus 1,000 at worst to back an MLS team to win the cup. That's where I think if you see a team on their plus 1,000, honestly, don't back them to win it.
Yeah, there's 4 of them, at least the ones I see.
Yeah, so that's where it's just like I just think there's no value on it just for how wild and just it's MLS. That's why it's fun.
That's why it's fun. Crazy.
All right.
Wild.
Best bets time. Joey B, you're coming off a solid domestic league slate. UCL was a little bit tougher to us this weekend, but you had the solid domestic league slate, so I'll let you recap the two since you did miss Monday's show.
I did I miss Monday? I was here on Monday. I missed the Thursday.
Thursday, yes.
I tweeted out, but yeah, I was 3-0. I think I was 3-0. Yeah, I was 3-0 with, I think, a parlay in there somewhere. But I was 1-1 midweek. I had Porto, Chelsea, both teams to score minus 118. That lost, but I had the Real Madrid plus 0.5. That was my one winner of this week. So just lost a little bit of juice, but I'll just keep the domestic league momentum going.
Yep, and I think this is the first time I've ever fucked up in my best bets recap. Sorry for everybody out there. I went minus 0.10 units, not 0.07. I fucked that up on the Twitter sphere, but the PSG Bayern under 3.5. The play I was the least confidence in, I don't want to say cash with these, but 2.5 goals in the bag. It kind of did. And then, boy, oh boy, the Liverpool Madrid over. That fucking solid chance he had in the 3rd minute had the ability to put that match on its head right for the over. And then once I saw we hit the 30th minute and there were still 0 goals, I was not feeling good about it. And yeah, the price shot up. Everybody was over it. It felt gross at the end of the day.
Yeah, those are the worst.
Yeah, nothing worse than backing a 0-0 game backing over when it ends 0-0. But let's get into the plays. I have to just give all my plays to the MLS this weekend. I got 4. Joey B will still be dabbling across the pond. I'll be back there next weekend, but I feel like since MLS is back, it's only right that I do a full MLS picks part. So we'll go with the easy one. It's kind of just I don't want to say it's the Alabama football approach, but LAFC at minus 1.25 at plus 102 against Austin, where, yes, I can honestly say, haven't watched the match, but they're still drawing against the USL clubs in their games, and now you're coming up against LAFC at home. Yeah, I'm just going to lay the price there. Think it's an easy 2-goal winner. Sorry, Sassuolo of Texas. It's not going to be a nice welcoming for you there.
Yeah, I think just back the better side. I think a lot of people will I don't know what the public would be on. Back the new team or back the historically great regular season team?
They're backing LAFC because they can't name a single player in Austin. So that's just where Vela's back. So yeah, it's probably going to steam. It's going to get juicy. It's my juicy play of the weekend. The rest really aren't that. So let's do it.
Yep. Well, speaking of juice and speaking of some I don't know if it's boring, but just starting off with a pretty juicy money line parlay, just taking Lazio and Dortmund, both of them together, minus 108. I think pretty good value on these guys together. Lazio plays Benevento. I just think they get the job done. Pretty strong side from Lazio. In terms of the table, they are going to at least want to stay within striking distance of a top 5, maybe top 4 position. Benevento, they're, 8 points away from the relegation zone. So They may be looking ahead to other opportunities, other ways, or other places they can win. They're seemingly safe now, but they, I think, have a pretty tough schedule to end the year. But I just think Lazio get the job done here. And then for Dortmund, they're playing Werder Bremen. I know Dortmund did play, obviously, against City midweek, but I just think they have enough firepower, enough energy to beat Werder Bremen pretty handily. I almost looked at to take Dortmund -1 or somewhere on the spread, just because I think they do get the job done. Werder Bremen is pretty inconsistent, but I just think Dortmund's going to have enough firepower, enough strength, enough quality to get the win here. So starting off with a really boring, bland 2-team money line parlay.
Hey, nothing's bland when it catches because Dortmund, other than Schalke and Köln, only 2 teams or 3 teams rank lower than them in goals produced. So they're bottom 5 for that. So that's kind of where, sure it is, but Dortmund, they ain't going to be happy because they definitely put up that fight against City. So you just got to hope they don't have a letdown spot here. But I just think it's a get 3 in the bag, get back on the winning side. They still have a UEFA spot to qualify for. So that's kind of where they need all the points there. They don't want to be only qualifying for Europa League after having a solid Champions League run. So I guess backing them in any way to end the season is a nice way. And then, backing Lazio against Benvenuto. No more UEFA play for them. So Lazio kind of gets a much needed break that they kind of needed because that roster started to show. All right, Joey B, after picking them to go to the West, I'm going to back them. So Nashville -0.75. Sure, I'm laying the juice, but we're going plus money here today on the plays. You got that at +106 because the only way this one does not cash fully is if we get a 0-0 draw. I do not think that's in the picture. Yes, I do love Brenner on Cincy. Think he's going to be a nice bright spot there, but just looking at what they've done in the preseason, sure, taking preseason MLS, take that with a huge grain of salt, but it's not looking like Cincy's still putting together any of the pieces that they needed. They showed some signs of life last season, but Nashville, want to say they might have they have the best defense in there as an expansion club. We saw this with Atlanta. They don't have the firepower up top that Atlanta does, but they're a defensive club that can make a deep run. They made the semis last year. I don't know why they're only sitting at -130 on the money line, but that seems like the better price. But I'm trying to go only plus money in MLS this year. So I'll take them at the -0.75. If you're cool with like the -130 juice, back the money line.
Yeah, I think that's a money line I'd look to play, but maybe if you get a plus price on maybe a 2-goal win there, I think could be good. For me, I think I got two other plays in Serie A, but I'll stick with my one sole, lone play in Bundesliga. But I'm taking an RB Leipzig halftime, full time. They're playing Hoffenheim tomorrow. That's at -103. I just think Hoffenheim's been a pretty, I don't know if to call them bad, but underperforming, underwhelming team this year. They are, 5 points away from the relegation zone, but I think they have enough time to worry about that. Whereas Leipzig is 5 points back of Bayern. We saw that lead shrink a little bit for them. I just think 3 points is going to be key for them here. And I know I don't know if I didn't do any research, but just have a feel of when Leipzig win games, they tend to kind of dominate early. And I think this is a good spot for them to get up early, just because they are going to kind of want to put this game away. Given that they can close the gap to Bayern, they can close the gap to Bayern within 2 points, so that they're not going to look to kind of wait around and wait to get a goal. I think they're going to hit it right from the start. So hopefully we get maybe a 1-0, 2-0 lead going into the half, and they just hold on to that. But I think Hoffenheim just missing a lot of guys kind of in and out of the lineup. I just think Leipzig will have a ton of talent advantage here. I think -1.5 could be a good spot too, but I just like the halftime, full time here because I think Leipzig could take a 1-0 lead at half and kind of hold on to that for the game.
Yeah, especially if they don't have the lead at half, you can get interesting if you want to be, I don't want to say degen, but if you want to double down and just keep riding with it, because if there's any team in all of Europe that's going to go full send at this point, other than PSG, it's Leipzig. They are just going to go balls to the wall. They'll never make up that goal differential because Bayern's sitting at 80 to 36. They're sitting at 53 to 23. So sure, they might just, there's no way they'll catch that, but they need results in every single game. So backing them halftime, full time, right around even, can't hate on that. All right, so I got 2 plays left. So, all right, let's get into it. We're going to start talking about, we're going to keep talking about the teams that were previewed before. We're going to the Beckham Derby. We're going with the Galaxy at plus 0.5 at even. I mean, with this Miami side, they just missed the playoffs or barely qualified for the playoffs last season. And that's bringing in with, I don't know how they're going to compete because they still technically have 4 DPs on their roster right now when you can only have 3. So that's kind of where I'm not too sure what's going on there. I know they're appealing the Matuidi thing, but they're finding out that, surprise, surprise, they played Matuidi under the table because how the hell they got him as not to be a DP was a little bit concerning to everyone else. But the MLS finally stuck their nose under it. So don't want to say just with the new coach coming in, sure, Galaxy has a new one coming in, but he's coached in the MLS for past 5+ seasons. Neville, first year in the MLS. Just going to take the coach that knows how to pull out a result where both teams, I think, are fairly even. Yes, I think home field advantage still had a decent play last year. Still think it's going to have a bigger effect this season when the Sounders can have up to 7,000 fans. But this game ain't in Seattle. It's in Miami. So we're going with the Galaxy plus 0.5 at even to pull out just a point in this game because I just don't see how Miami wins this one outright. Sure, I could be way too high on the Galaxy, but I had to talk about the last segment, so it's only right that I put my money behind them when it seems like there's a ton of value behind it.
Yeah, I think good angles. I think to back there, especially in the opening game. I always find that tough to get into, especially with MLS. With I don't know, new coaches, new players, a lot of volatility in lineups and things like that is always tough. But for my last 2 plays, sticking in Serie A, going to be backing some goals here. But the first one, I'm taking Bologna and Spezia over 2.75 at minus 118. I think maybe you can find a 2.5 at like minus 140, but I'll stick with the 2.75. I just think we see 3 goals here. This game kind of is meaningless. Bologna is kind of in no man's land, and Beneveno's in no man's land. But I just think Bologna is a good home scoring team. Spezia is maybe one of the best over 2.5 away teams out there. And just watching them against Crotone last week, they went down 2-0. Maybe I don't know if they were down 2-0, but I know they scored 2 goals late in I think maybe 2 in stoppage time or close to it to beat Crotone. I just think they have that same play style. These 2 teams match up well. I just think it smells goals. But yeah, I know that the hard to back a side here with not a strong motivation for either team, but I just think they're just going to go out, have fun, probably score some goals here or there.
Yeah, just got to hope it's not just a track match where they just want to see the final 90 minutes end. But Spiezia, they usually do give up their fair share of goals, and they're more than frequent to get one on the board. So you just got to hope you get a Bologna 2-1 win here and just hope that you get the half winner here. The 4 goals could be a little difficult, in my opinion, because you might be relying on a 3-1, 2-2. But I definitely do think there are 3 goals in this match. So my last and final play in the MLS, this was the last one I added on. The one I don't want to say I'm the least confident in, but the way that I've used my, I guess, Europe betting knowledge or tendencies, it's going against this one here because the Timbers are the only team I'm backing this weekend that are playing in CCO. So they've had 2 matches before this game. So you have 2 other matches you could also target for this one. Philly and Columbus are playing each other, and they're both in the CCL, so it wipes that one off the board. But if you want to go a fade CCL team approach, I would not knock you for it or doubt you for it. But the opening matches for the MLS do count for Open Cup qualification, if that means anything for you, our version of the FA Cup. But it's kind of just a fade Vancouver early tendency because there's going to be signs for this Vancouver team. They were starting to show last season. Yes, they did troll one of our prior analysts extremely well on Twitter at one point in time. But this Timbers side, if they don't win against Vancouver's playing at RLS, so they don't even have a home field advantage here. And it's like the Timbers have played in RLS all the time. The Timbers could almost throw out their one /AB team here and pull out the win against the Galaxy because it's looking like a decent amount of the Galaxy's attack isn't informed, isn't ready for this first match. So sure, the Timbers did just beat Marathon 4-5-0 the other night. So it could be a little bit of juicy play, but if you're giving me the -1 at +112, find their money line, put it in a parlay if you want to go a little bit safer. But I just think the Timbers, just contrary to how they started prior seasons, they actually start off the MLS season a little bit hot.
Yeah, I think definitely a good angle, and probably there's some value in there with Timbers having maybe being not fully rested to start the season, but they also have some time to gel and kind of get that chemistry back from last season. But for me, for my last play, this one, not too many stats, not too many trends that kind of go in my favor. And just kind of going out on a limb, I think it's more of a good situational spot, in my opinion. And taking Cagliari and Parma, both of them. Cagliari is 18th place with 22 points. Parma's 2 points behind in 19th. They both are in the relegation zone. They both need 3 points here. I don't see any reason for them to be playing for any sort of draw. So I'm taking both teams to score in over 2.5. It's at +128. I think both teams to score is like -130, and then over 2.5 is like -110, -120, somewhere around there. Both of those would be good bets straight up if you like either of those, but I was take it together, get a plus price. This is just the biggest relegation 6-pointer. A draw doesn't do anything for them. Cagliari is maybe one of the worst teams to the over 2.5 in Serie A, just ahead of Udinese, but Parma away their games average 3.6 goals. They tend to give up a couple, so maybe Cagliari is up late 2-0 and Parma just gets one to go in late, something like that. I could see Cagliari getting the result here, but there's just more of a situational matchup play, and I just like the number. The +128 may come back to buy me, but I just think it's a good number to have some fun on I think it's a Saturday afternoon.
Yeah, you got the late Saturday game here, and nothing makes me happier that Joey B is diving into the games that I would be diving into when you get the relegation battle a few weeks early this late in the season. Yes, this is a true 6-pointer between the two clubs that I don't want to say it's sad to say, just because Cagliari and Parma aren't the most notorious Serie A clubs, but as of right now, it's looking like 2 prior Serie A clubs are going down that's been there for a while. And yeah, this is one of the best 6-pointers. Neither team's going to sit back because they just know they both allowed over 50 goals this season, and both are struggling to put over 30. So, yeah, the defenses are definitely vulnerable here. Let's just hope to show up. Is it on the island?
I think Cagliari is the home team, yep.
Yep, it is on the island. So let's see if Parma can travel well there. It's not that far of a travel for Parma compared to some other clubs, but, yeah, it is what it is. Nice little relegation battle there. Definitely would be backing the over there if I'm playing it because there's no chance I'm backing the under in the Serie A relegation battle.
Yeah, I think 2 quick things. I feel like this is a game that it'll either end like 0-0 with like maybe a half a expected goal between the two sides, or it's going to end like 4-3 with a XG of like half a goal between the two sides. I think we got. I think this could cash in 30 minutes, or it may end 0-0. And then if Cagliari do get relegated, I'd be curious to see them in Serie B next year and see how some of those teams handle traveling over to the island. See if it becomes a super fortress of sorts for them next year if they can try to get promoted. But obviously, there's a lot that goes into that with keeping a manager, keeping players, seeing who stays, and all that stuff. But just something to look out for next year.
Early Wolves look ahead in Serie B. You're really doing your due diligence there. But let's wrap up our best bets real quick. We'll rattle them off real quick for you. I got LAFC minus a goal 0.25 at plus 102. I got Nashville minus 0.75 at plus 106. Galaxy plus a half a goal even, and then Timbers laying the -1 at plus 112. All MLS, baby.
I'll have to sprinkle some of those in to get some maybe some nighttime footy action. For me, I got 4 plays as well. Lazio Dortmund moneyline parlay minus 108. Bologna Spezia over 2.75 minus 118. Cagliari Parma, both teams are scoring over 2.5 at plus 128. And then RB Leipzig halftime, full time at minus 103.
Nice. So there's 8 plays for you this weekend. And then I'm not too sure if we'll do a Monday stream. We got midweek action. We'll talk about in the Slack, let you guys know on the Twitterverse. But we will be back next Thursday. And regardless of the next time we stream, the luscious locks of Rex will be gone. So take your screenshots. Do whatever you need to do at this point. We don't know how short we're going yet. We're deciding between like a Jack Grealish style or if we're just going full gone. We'll see what it is, but make sure you tune in to next week's episode of Line Breakers FC to see where it's at. The Kevin Durrell NBA show will be coming up next on all of our live outlets. So those guys been cranking and rolling with the NBA. I know one of their main segments today is going to be talking about LA. So, no, not the city, LaMarcus Aldridge. So, if you are a Spurs fan, if you're someone who just appreciates the big man that's kind of getting phased out, I know Daryl will do his due diligence to showing him the respect that he deserves, a 20-plus point career point per game player. But as usual, Joey B, follow him for any La Liga, Bundesliga, Serie A, Europa League, anything you need, Champions League for Line Breakers FC as you got you there. But until next time, you can follow us on our heads and make sure you follow us at thebreakdownsports.com.